Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since we've done any videos from the studio, but I had a quick thought and I've been wanting to make some more videos with the gun related stuff. I've been doing a lot of more spiritual talks, religious, biblical talks, and I thought I needed to throw in a gun video here in between those. So I was thinking today quite a bit about a subject that has been talked about a lot on my channel, but not the specific thing addressed about what do I like when it comes to porting. Do I like V-porting or do I like inline-porting? And that's something I'm going to discuss. And I've had plenty enough experience to realize kind of what my preferences are. Now, my preferences may not be your preferences, and you need to try it for yourself. If you may not even like porting or comps in general, and there's a lot of people that do not. I think that the more people shoot, it's been my experience that the people who shoot a lot, that once they start using ports and comps, they will start liking the way that comps and ports feel when they shoot guns. They will notice a difference in their speed. And so it's my experience that newer shooters don't like comps and ports as much, but then skilled shooters, when they're allowed to use that, it's kind of a little bit of a cheat code. It doesn't do a lot for speed and performance, but it does just enough to notice it. And it's definitely something that you start enjoying. The more and more you shoot, the quicker you become, you notice that there is even more of a slight speed advantage to porting and comps, especially if you don't have as much grip strength as some of the people out there in the field that you're competing against or shooting against. It definitely makes a difference there. So when it comes to inline ports or V-porting, that's what we're mainly going to talk about. I'll show you some other examples as well. Now, this gun is my V-ported example because it has the V6 ports in the front. Now, I added the two inline ports because of something we're fixing to talk about. I just noticed that I enjoy the inline ports better, and these V ports being on the very end of the gun and also being slanted out this direction more than some V ports on the market was not giving me quite the compensation of muzzle rise that I wanted. I wanted more mitigation of the muzzle flip of the gun. So that's why we added these two ports here on the gun, if you can see that. We added those along with the V ports to kind of keep the gun down, and it did make a big difference. And but I want to I really do want to talk about, what do I like better? And simply put, I think a simple inline port job is better than anything else for what you get. And I'm going to give you this is actually probably my favorite. This is not my favorite gun necessarily, even though I do love this gun. It is a single stack. I would prefer it to be a double stack. I would use it more if it was a double stack. I would use it, I would like it a little more if it was non-mem parts, and it does have some mem parts in it. But this gun has been very reliable. It's been very dependable. It's been very accurate. And I just can't say enough about how this gun performs in this configuration. And so far as porting or compensators go, I think this gun is my very favorite. I'm not saying it's the flattest gun I have necessarily, but just the balance and the way this thing returns to zero and the recoil impulse and everything about it this is my favorite setup for a 5-inch gun. This I would call these medium to large size ports. They're fairly large. They're not the largest I've ever seen, but they're fairly large ports. And those 4 inline ports are just excellent for keeping both the energy in the hand down and keeping the muzzle rise very minimal. And I've really enjoyed this setup, and I think it's my very favorite setup of any other ports that I have or comps or anything else. Now let's talk about it a little bit. Here's the Prodigy, and this gun stays extremely flat. But in my opinion, and just, experimenting with these over the years, and this is an excellent job. This is an excellent setup. I mean, it's awesome. And I do love this gun. I love the way it turned out. I love the way it shoots. But in my opinion, just in my personal opinion, I think that these chunk ports. This is not really a compensator. I feel like that's more machining, and, you know, they take away the rifling, so it takes away some of the pressure, you know, allowing more speed to come out the barrel. I feel like this is more work than needs to be done to do really what you want. I feel like, I just don't feel like this is really necessary. When I feel like this gun, this Kimber on the left, just overall does just as good of a job, if not a better job, and I can guarantee you there's less money involved in this particular job, the way it was done, than this, because of this chunk port. You know, that's expensive to machine. It's just more work. It's more advanced of a cut, and I don't see any advantages to it. So I would definitely prefer the Kimber's port job over the Prodigy, and both of them handle very similar in the sense of how they feel and recoil, but just the simplicity of the way this works and the way it looks, I really enjoy it better than I do the Prodigy in the sense. And getting back to the root question, what we're going to call the video though, why do I enjoy inline ports better than the V ports? There's several reasons for this. I'm not against V-porting. I think V-ports are awesome. I think they work just as good as inline ports in many designs and in many ways, that they're not lesser than inline ports. But I'm going to tell you the reasons why I personally like the inline ports better. Number one is you are having to dispel more gas in the V port to get the same muzzle flip decline. So you have to, because the gas is coming out at an angle, you're having to get rid of more gas to keep the muzzle down. So I don't really like that. I want to get rid of the least amount of velocity and gases that will keep the gun flat and keep, you know, kind of the energy that the recoil impulse that goes back into the hand and the muzzle flip down as low as possible without releasing any more gas than is necessary. I feel like inline ports do that better. Okay, we'll show you some other, let me show you some other inline porting stuff we have here, which that does have a slide compensator on it as well. It's not a real compensator. Here we have, you know, just to give you an example too, here's a full-on real compensator, barrel compensator built into the barrel itself, Bull Armory. And this thing works awesome, but I feel like it's more expensive to manufacture. It takes up a lot of space, and really the ports do just as good. Now, on this short of a gun, it's hard to do inline ports because the barrel is just so short that you kind of can lose too much velocity. So on this gun, I don't mind that so bad, but on a full-size gun, I'd almost rather just have the inline ports when you've got a long enough barrel to get that velocity up. I just don't see the point. But guys, that was reason number one. You have to dispel more gas in V-porting to get the same results as less gas coming out of an inline ports, because the majority of the gases that you're wanting to expel, you want them to go vertical so they can keep the gun down. That's where you want it going. That's number one. Number two, and this goes along with that as well, is when you get people to shoot ports for the first time, one of the biggest complaints is how loud the gun is, and I forgot the good word for it, just the muzzle blast, the blast that's felt in your face. For somebody that's not used to it, for some reason you can tell it a lot. When you get used to it, you don't even notice it, but for some reason for new shooters, they're like, wow, I just felt that in my face. I felt these gases coming out. I felt like it was way louder, and I feel like that V-porting, because you've got this side going toward the left ear and this side going toward the right ear. Maybe it's me, maybe I'm just over exaggerating a little bit, but I feel like there's more of that blast sound when it's coming both directions, because you're holding the gun in the center of your chest, you know, forward of your chest. Because the sound's going both directions, I feel like you can kind of feel and hear the blast more aggressively than you can with the inline porting that's going straight up. I feel like this is avoiding your ears a little bit better. The sound waves coming off the blast, coming out of the inline ports, is less. So not only do you got to dispel less gas to get the same results in muzzle flip reduction, but you're also getting less gas that is making that sound, and that pressure is making it less back to your face and your ears. And I feel like you get just a slight reduction in that feeling with an inline port system over a V-ported system. And I'm just saying, this is kind of speculation. This is based off my experience, but you know, it's not really saying I have any science behind it. It's just what I've felt when I do shoot these guns and what I feel. Number 3, the reason why I like inline ports better, and we'll just go straight into that. We've talked a lot on the channel about shooting a gun from retention. I wish there was a way that I could zoom out the camera and show you this. Maybe I can tilt it up a little bit, but let me show you here. Okay, so if you're holding this gun, you see how it's V-ported. If I'm holding it at retention, like close to my body, and I've showed you how to shoot a gun at retention with porting, and you hold it kind of sideways. This gun, you have to shoot even more sideways to get the ports away from your eyes, away from your face, so that you don't get any gases or debris coming from the explosion that happens within the chamber of a gun. And all this stuff, the lead, the copper, the jackets, you know, to keep yourself safe with a gun like this, with the V-ports, you have to turn it really far sideways in order to keep that blast from coming up toward your face. Whereas an inline port system, when I shoot it from retention, I can bring it up, and as you can see, let's just watch the ports. This is me shooting from retention with my my technique for shooting ported guns from retention. It's perfectly safe for both guns, but as you can see, if you do with this gun, you can't see the ports at all. Like the ports are pretty much completely hidden, and I can shoot the gun safely. Whereas when you shoot from retention with the V-porting system, even when you're holding it at this extreme from the camera, you can tell there's still some access to those ports. Now the gases are coming out. Let me put it back down here. Straighten this up. Now the gases are coming out at an angle like this because that barrel is real thick. So you're still safe even though that you can see the holes, but because the gases are more coming out at an angle. So when I'm holding the gun at retention, the gases are coming up and away from my face, but only at a slight angle away from my face. Whereas with the inline system, I don't have to worry about it at all. Like, even though this is safe, I would say this is much safer. And it directs the sound away, so I don't have to feel it as much when I'm shooting from retention. I have shot this from retention. It's no problem. Using any ammo you want to, it's not a problem if you shoot it like with my technique. However, this one just feels safer, and it is easier to do it safer without thinking about it. You don't have to use quite as much of an extreme angle on your retention shooting, and I do like that. So that is some of the reasons why I like inline porting better than V-porting. And to me, overall, the best compensation method on a pistol is inline ports. That's over a compensated gun. That's over a chunk port like the Prodigy. That's over V-porting. That's over any other system that I know of. This right here has been my favorite setup as far as just what it does, how it feels, how it shoots, and you get better velocities, you get more results per size of port, and it's more cost effective. This is easier to do when it comes to having something done. It's just an easier system to do, and it's just as effective as any of these other port systems and comp systems. The inline ports is the most economical, efficient price. You know, when it comes to price, it's just the best system overall, and I feel like it looks awesome. It makes the gun look more traditional to me too. It doesn't do too much overall to the gun. It's very simple but extremely effective, and it's just my favorite. I'm not saying it looks cooler than any other system necessarily. I just think that overall there's reasons why I will say beyond a shadow of a doubt as of right now in my life, if you want to compensate a pistol, inline ports like this 4-port system is the way to go. If you want to do smaller ports like this 5-port system, that works great too. But I really do prefer this spread out 4-port system. This is my favorite setup so far. I'll show you some more here. God bless. Have a great day. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you like the inline ports better than anything? Do you like V-porting? Do you like spreading your porting out? I feel like because of the slight safety issues you have with ported guns, you do have to worry about gases coming out and harming somebody around you or yourself. That is something to consider. It's not a big deal if you have the proper technique, but because that's something that you have to consider, why not make it as easy as possible and have the ports all in one general geometrical direction so that you do not have to worry about that as much. And that to me is the biggest deal and the reason why I like it the most. And it just is the most cost-effective and most effective of the systems. Please leave a comment. Please like and subscribe. Please let me know what you think. Please tell me if you agree or disagree, but give me a good reason. Don't just say you disagree because you know everything and I know nothing, but let me know why. God bless. Have a great day. We'll catch you guys later.